Yes, Khadija. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum salam, I'm good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine. Okay, so the last class, we did completed this chapter, crop production and management. Okay, now. So in this, few questions were left to be discussed. Uh, in just 5 or 10 minutes, we will be covering that. And today, we will be beginning our class with the new chapter, that is microorganisms. Okay, now. Also, do tell me, Khadija, has your school started? I think it has already started. No,
No, it will start tomorrow.
it hasn't started.
Yes, it will start tomorrow.
From tomorrow, it is going to start.
Yes,
Okay, so tomorrow will be the first class or
it's the first class.
it's the first class? Okay, okay. So the good thing is that we have already completed the first chapter. Okay, now so that should help you in school also. Okay, so let Sundus also join. Then we will be doing these questions. First of all, tell me, are the questions visible to you or not?
Yes, they're visible.
It is visible, no? Okay. So let Sundus also join. Then we will be doing these questions. Meanwhile, you can ask some questions from the chapter. If you have any doubts from this chapter, feel free to ask the questions. Okay, now?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. And what's going on in mathematics? This is the first.
Mathematics,
Mhm.
the first chapter is over. We're on the second chapter.
Okay, okay, that's good. Good. So look at the first question, by the way, which is not a kharif crop.
Uh, Soyabean? No,
Soyabean.
wait, it's gram, right?
It's gram actually. Gram is actually a rabi crop. Okay, na? Hmm. Look at question number 2. Sometimes manure is added to the soil before tilling because tilling
Uh,
or plowing is the same thing, right? No?
yes.
Okay. Think of the appropriate answer. Yes, Khadija.
B?
It helps in proper mixing of manure with soil. Very good. Okay, look at question number 3. Process of separating grain seeds from the chaff is called as what?
A, threshing.
That is threshing. Very good.
Threshing.
Threshing, good. Threshing can be done with the help of a machine also. That is called as, if you were to do
Uh,
threshing using the help of a machine. Yes.
uh,
See this image over here.
Threshing?
Thresher. The one that you see over here, that is a thresher. Okay, now? Okay. By the way, what were some of the harvest festivals? What are some harvest festivals which we celebrate in India?
Uh, Holi?
Hmm?
Uh,
Holi. Yes, there are some other festivals also, like Baisakhi is there. Holi, Baisakhi, Onam, Pongal. Huh? Look at this slide. So Holi, Baisakhi, Bihu, Pongal, Nabaniya. These are some of the harvest festivals celebrated in India. Okay, now?
uh,
Okay, continuing further. Question number 4. I'm wondering why Sundus hasn't joined yet. Anyways, which of the following is not a traditional method of irrigation? Yes. Is
A?
it the no? Read the question properly. Read the question once again. See, first of all, tell me which of them are the traditional methods. Which of these are the traditional methods? First, tell me this.
A, C,
Hmm.
and
B. Exactly. While drip system is the modern method of irrigation, isn't it? So question say which
Yes.
is not a traditional method. So drip system is not a traditional method, no? Okay. Question number 5.
Ho.
Correct. For tilling the soil, adding fertilizers, removing weeds, etc. See, just saying that for tilling the soil, for tilling it can be used for addition of fertilizers. Yes, for that also it can be used. Removing weed, for that also it can be used. Okay, question number 6. The use of manure, which is not correct. First option says it enhances the water holding capacity of the soil. Is that true?
No.
Recollect the concept. Try to recall the concept we studied about manure. There were several advantages. Apart from adding fertility to the soil, it is known to increase the water holding capacity of the soil also.
Yes.
Okay, Khadija.
Yes.
Okay. Then it also improves the soil texture. Suppose texture, you understand, no, what is texture?
Yes.
Hmm? So it improves the texture of the soil also. And will it increase the number of friendly microbes? Will it do this? What we have studied about
No.
manure, like manure is made from the organic waste, right now. So obviously it will increase the number of friendly microbes. Getting it now? So
Yes.
the only option that isn't correct is the option number D. It becomes a source of water pollution. No, it does not become a source of water pollution. Even if you were to add excess amount of manure, it will not cause harm to the nature. Getting it now? Okay. Now, from the fill in the blanks section, answer this quickly. Meanwhile, let me drop a reminder for Sundus to join the class because today we are going to start the new chapter. Okay, now? Yeah, Khadija, quickly do the fill in the blanks. Meanwhile, let
Should
me
I write them
drop.
down?
You can write them down in the chat box, but make sure you answer it here, like in this one, on this ID, on Sohail, not on Muhammad Sohail Khan. Okay, na?
Okay.
Hmm. The ID from which I am visible. Meanwhile, let me drop a message for Sundus to join. Okay, I have dropped the message. Let's see if she joins. Or Khadija, just do one thing. Just tell me the answer. Why write it in the chat box?
The first one is
Hmm.
pea and mustard, and the second one, the second.
That is, the plow field may have big pieces of soil, like soil chunks. Hmm? Getting it now?
Yes. They
Hmm.
call down.
Yes, Khadija? Okay, answer the next question then. Hello?
Yes. Hello.
Mhm.
1 second.
The question is very simple. What do you call the big pieces of soil that is left on the land?
Crumbs.
Crumbs. Very good. Okay, na? So that is called as crumbs. Question number 3. Do you remember we did discuss about the parts of a plow? Huh?
Yes,
There
I
was
do remember, but I can't remember what it's called.
okay. See, if you were to look at the image of this plow, maybe that will help you to recall it. Yes, here it is.
Low shaft.
Plow shaft. Okay, no? So that is the thing. Moving further, you have this question. Nowadays, plowing is done by. Question number 4.
Tractor.
Tractors. Okay, na? Tractors, or more specifically, you'd say cultivators. Okay, na? Question number 5.
Depth and
Distance. Distance, correct. Okay. The decomposed matter is used as
Compost.
compost. Compost or manure, both of them are correct. Question number 7.
Fertilizer.
Fertilizers, correct. Question number 8. It's a weedy side, not a weed. If you remember, we did discuss some examples of weedy sites. There were so many. 2,4-D. Do you remember 2,4-D? That was a weedy
Yeah.
site. Okay, na? Or you have like atrazine is also one of the example of it. Getting it now? So you have so many common examples, like in NCERT or in some other books, you might find this example 2,4-D. Okay, or you can have ethyl ester also. Getting it now? So, but this is one of the very common name. Try to recall this. Remember this. Okay, now. See, it is mentioned over here also. Actually, the answers are given here. Anyways, look at. Let's do this one. Match the columns. Yes, Khadija. Granaries. Match the options given in column 1 with the options given in column 2.
Uh,
Yes. Granaries, you understand about granaries?
yes, I do.
Good. Okay, do one thing. Look at option number 2 then. Kharif crop. What are some example of Kharif crop?
Paddy and maize.
Paddy and maize. What about weedy side?
2,4-D.
2,4-D. Traditional method of irrigation?
Silo.
Silos. No, silo is
No.
a different thing. No, silo is
Uh,
like a large cylindrical container in which grains are stored. Huh? Food
yes.
grains are stored in silos. No, let me show you an image of it. See this one over here. These large cylindrical structures, and this food grains are stored. Okay, no. Okay, back to question. Yes. Fertilizers.
Uh, NPK? No.
And it is correct actually, NPK. What is full form of NPK? N here stands for nitrogen. Okay. P here stands for phosphorus. And K here stands for potassium. So these are the constituents found in a normal fertilizer. Okay, na? Or also you can have some fertilizers which will have a rich amount of nitrogen in it only, or can have some fertilizers will generally consist of a rich amount of potassium, or might consist a rich amount of phosphorus in it. So you can have a specific type of fertilizers also. So fertilizers, you have NPK, traditional method of irrigation, that is Dhekli system, isn't it? Remember about the Dhekli system?
Yes, I
Okay,
remember.
good. VD side, that is 2,4-D. It is one of the example of VD side. Okay. Now, if you look over here, groundnut. Groundnut, what is it? Is it a kharif crop? Isn't it? Yes, Sundus. Sorry. Yes, Khadija. Is groundnut a kharif or rabi crop?
Rabi?
No, it's actually a kharif crop. No, kharif crops. We had several example of kharif crops like paddy, maize. uh, you have this soybean, groundnut. Getting it? Cotton. All of these are kharif crops. Will you repeat the examples which I just quoted? Some
Uh,
examples of kharif crops? Yes.
Paddy, maize, groundnut, soybean, and cotton.
Soybean and cotton. Very good. While you have examples of like wheat over here, and we have examples of barley or oats or mustard. These are examples of rabi crops here. Okay, now. So groundnut here is particularly a kharif crop. So for second, it's option number 6. While talking about maize, is maize a kharif or rabi crop?
Rabi.
Maize is a kharif crop actually. Maize is also a kharif crop. Getting it now? So what you are going to do, you are going to memorize the names of different crops, which are kharif crops and which are rabi crops. Okay, now. So actually, like the most appropriate answer for granaries would be no fifth one, paddy and maize, because mainly in granaries we store these. Getting it? In granaries we mainly store paddy and wheat. So hope it is clear. We have done this one already, I think. True and false. Manure consists of the organic matter. Is it true or false?
It's decomposed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
False?
exactly. No, no, it is actually true. No, manure basically the decomposed material that you are saying. Decomposed material is also organic matter. No, it can be a decomposed material of plant or of an animal. So manure consists of the organic matter. Before we discuss this further, first you tell me how manures are prepared. Yes, Khadija?
Uh, they're um they're made of decomposing matter and then they put into the soil.
Exactly. So first you have you are basically having waste which is coming from the green vegetables, fruits, and the animal waste. So they are allowed to decay. So when they decay, they turn into manure. So manure is actually an organic substance, because the plant and animal waste, they are organic substances. Normally what we say that anything that is natural is organic, right? Now, so it is actually true, it's not false. Is Sundus here? No, not yet. Look at next question.
True.
True. Correct. Third, the question says, is combine used for sowing?
False.
It is actually false right now. So combine which is used in harvesting of the crops. Getting it now. So it can harvest all the crops at the one time. So that is the thing. Next question.
Um, isn't it preparation of seeds?
Mm-hmm. Exact preparation of soil, exactly. So thereby the statement is
Soil. Yeah.
false. No?
False.
Hmm. Next.
True.
Exactly. It's a very economical method. It saves lots of water. Using good quality seeds is the only criterion to get high yield.
False.
Exactly. Obviously, no. So there are several other criterions we have to take care of. Like what are some other criteria you have to consider in order to get a high yield?
Um,
Hmm? Like you have to add fertilizers or manures to the soil. Irrigation, proper irrigation is required right now. You need to check
and
for the
crop rotation.
exactly. You need to check for the pH level of the soil, whether the soil is too acidic or whether it is too basic in nature. Hmm? So soil has to be neutral in nature so that plant grows well. You have to control the growth of unwanted plants also. You tell me what the how unwanted plants affects the main crop.
It takes up space.
It takes up space, very good, and it snatches some of nutrients from the main crop. Huh?
Mhm.
Not only it will be taking space, it will be competing with the main crop for water, for minerals, for different type of nutrients right now. So thereby it will decrease the yield of the main crop. Okay, all crop plants are sown as seeds in the field. Now look at question review. Growing different crops in different seasons in the same field will deplete the soil of nutrients. Is it true or false?
True.
How can it be true? It says growing different crops in different seasons in the same field. Like
Uh,
here, the question might it's actually referring to crop rotation now.
yes, but
So
won't it deplete it of nitrogen?
no, actually, it will actually enrich the soil with nitrogen. If you were to grow leguminous crops and non-leguminous crops alternatively, like in the Kharif season, you have grown the particular crop. In Rabi season, you have grown another crop. Basically, you're growing a leguminous and non-leguminous crops in alternate to each other. So that will actually improve the nitrogen content in the soil. It might actually deplete the soil of other nutrients, but particularly for nitrogen, it will be helpful. So the appropriate answer is actually true. Getting it, Khadija, or are you not getting it?
I'm getting.
Good. Next,
Uh,
all. Mhm.
by all crop plants, it means like every single crop in a single field.
Yeah, every kind of crops.
False.
Actually, false. We have studied about a concept called as transplantation, right?
Yes.
So explain to me what is transplantation.
Uh,
One thing is like there is organ transplantation, huh? And then in case of plants also we study about transplantation. Yes, Sundu. Assalamu alaikum. How are you? Getting it, Khadija. So what is
yeah.
transplantation? It was a
It's
technique in which a plant is moved from one location to another.
one other.
So first, it is first you are growing seedlings right now. So from the seeds, you are growing small crops of that plant, right now. So once the plant has grown to some height, for example, let's say it has grown to few centimeters, 10 or 15 centimeters. Now you will be transplanting it from one field of one place to larger fields. So that is called as transplantation. How transplantation helps? How is it beneficial? Yes, Khadija, how transplantation is beneficial?
Because if you place a seedling in a big field, it'll what has
Mhm. See, transplantation, actually in transplantation, you are taking good care of the crops, right? You are providing proper amount of manures and fertilizers to the crop to grow, to the seed basically to grow. You are ensuring that proper water is supplied to the plants, proper sunlight availability is ensured. So thereby plants are growing in a very well manner.
Assalamualaikum, sir. How are you?
Yes, Sundar Salim Islam. I'm good. How are you?
Good, sir.
Okay. So basically we are doing some questions on this. Okay, now some more questions are there. We'll be discussing that and then we'll be beginning with the new chapter. That is microorganisms, friends and foe. So we were talking about transplantation, how transplant is beneficial. So there were several reasons why transplantation is actually good for some crops. Like transplantation allows you to select only the good plants. If some plant is not healthy, you will not be selecting it. You will deselect it. Getting it now, Khadija and Sundus. So thereby this statement here is false. You guys, both of you tell me um, this question. What are some plants that are grown by the method of transplantation?
Paddy.
Paddy, a very common example. Okay, can there be some other examples? Khadija, Sundus? Like you guys have heard of broccoli? Must have eaten broccoli,
yes.
Yes, sir.
right? No, actually, it was invented by humans. Like the eggplant, tomato, huh? Or onions. All of these are there different fruits also like watermelon. All of these are grown by the method of transplantation. So first they are grown in a nursery in a small area called as a nursery and then transplanted to the main field. Anyways,
Cabbage, it is also done.
which one?
Cabbage.
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 Huh? Cabbage is also done very good. Okay, no. Okay, question number 4. Both of you answer this. Cells of root nodules of leguminous plants fixes nitrogen. Is it true or
True.
false?
True, sir.
True. How can it be true?
Because it
Read
has a bacteria named rhizome
read
that
the
fixes
question.
nitrogen.
Read the question again. Cells of root nodules of leguminous plant fixes nitrogen. Is it the cells of root nodules or is it the rhizobium bacteria?
Rhizobia bacteria.
Hmm. So thereby it is false, no? Getting it on this.
Yes.
Okay. Freshly harvested grains must be dried before storing. Obviously, it is.
True.
True.
It is true, right now, because a fresh grain will consist of high amount of moisture. That may lead to infection in the seed. So hence it has to be sun dried, basically. Okay, so this chapter have been finished. Okay, and once your exams will be approaching, we will be revising this chapter once again. But as of now, we are going to start a new chapter today. That is microorganisms, friends, and foe. So when we say microorganisms, what do you guys understand by this term, microorganisms? What comes to mind? Like, what are microorganisms? Sundus, you tell
That
me.
we can
Yeah,
see
Khadija.
through a microscope.
Exactly. In order to see that, You need to have a microscope like this over here. Correct. What else? Like, have you heard like normally
Cultural organism.
mhm, they can be of only one cell also. They can be made up of several cells. Hmm. Normally, it is said that before you eat your food or before you do some work, you should be basically washing your hands, especially before eating food. Because normally it is said that you can get infected with bacteria and you can catch some diseases. You can be infected with the diseases. So some of them are actually bad for our health, that may lead to sickness. And like when you eat like some food, for example, curd, that is dahi, curd, curd. So how curd is made? So you will add some slight amount of a pre-curd into milk, into boiled milk, and allow it to rest for overnight, and then next day it whole milk turns into curd. So you just added a small tablespoon of curd into a big ball of milk, and after 12 to 10 hours this whole milk turns into curd. So how did this happen? This happened with the help of a microorganism called as lactobacillus. It's a bacteria. Then you have some of other microorganisms, for example, yeast. You guys might have heard of yeast powder. It comes in the form of powder. It is a, you can purchase it from the market. So in the baking industry or in making a cake or in making a bread, it is used. It is added to the flour. It is added to the flour, and then it is used in this manner. So we see that some of the microorganisms are actually helpful for us, while some of the microorganisms can make us sick. Getting it, guys? So normally we see that microorganisms can be both good and bad for us. But before we study about the good and bad aspects of microorganism, first we need to know that what is a microorganism? How do we define it in terms of in medical terms? How do we define it? So we see that any organism that is of microscopic size. Huh? Microscopic size means that in order to view that organism, you need to take help of a microscope. So that microorganisms, it can exist in its single celled form also, or in a form of colony of cells also. Listen carefully what I'm saying. I'm saying that this microorganism can be made up of just one cell, or it can be found to be living in a colony of cells. Colony of cells, you guys are getting it, what I'm trying to say? Huh? Colony of cells, like you have a herd of sheep.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm
Sundus?
sorry. I have to go, sir.
Okay, but make sure that you watch the remaining part of the class. Watch the recording of the class before the next class. Okay, na Sundus?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Bye.
Okay, bye. Yes, Khadija. So thereby we are discussing that a microorganism is basically an organism that is so small that it can only be viewed under a microscope, not with the naked eye. So they usually, what we say that they usually are not plants or animals that are coming in a variety of shape, variety of size, variety of species. Huh? So that is another thing about them. They can be found living almost everywhere. They can be found living in water, in soil, and even in the air around you, they can be found. If we were to talk about human body, our human body is itself a home to millions of different type of microorganisms. Some of them makes us sick, while some of them are important for our health. So what we're seeing over here, just that some like millions of microorganisms are found to be living on and inside our body as well. Some of them have a potential to make us sick, while some of them are actually good for our health, right now. So that is the thing about it. Now, when you look at the different type of organisms on Earth, we have classified them into different groups. Hmm. Like if you were to talk about different type of scientists, like have you heard of Aristotle?
No.
No. See, Aristotle was a Greek historian. He was basically a Greek scientist. Okay, now. So what he did now, like I'm talking almost about 2,500 years ago. Now imagine 2,500 years ago, there was a person called as Aristotle. He has done some very important works in his life. So what he did now, he gave a ladder of life in which he classified the different species, different living organisms on Earth as plants, as animals, and humans. Right now, then later on come different other scientists. For example, after Aristotle came Carl Linnaeus. So then Carl Linnaeus also classified the different type of living organisms on Earth. You will be studying these in class 9th. In higher grade, you will be studying about Carl Linnaeus. He gave a level of classification right now. For example, normally what we see that our parents give us different names. I am known by a particular name. You have got a name. You have a name Khadija. But if a scientist were to study about humans, a scientist wants to study about all the humans. So what he will do now? He will call humans by his or her scientific name. Like in terms of science, humans are called as Homo sapiens. So what is Homo sapiens? This is the scientific name of we humans. Okay, now in terms of science, humans are known by this name, Homo sapiens. So similarly, what I'm basically trying to say over here, that Carl Linnaeus, he had some major contributions in the field of biology. He said that any living organism that you see on Earth will be known by his scientific name like this, like Homo and sapiens for humans. Similarly, for cats, you have got a scientific name. For house fly, so every living species that you see around yourself, every living organism will have a particular scientific name. So that was one of his contribution, which I thought that you should know. Anyways, main important thing which I want to tell you is that different living organisms on Earth have been classified into 5 kingdoms. Don't confuse it with the kingdom of a king. Okay, now that's a different thing. So different organisms on Earth have been classified into 5 kingdoms. Like you have plant kingdom, animal
Does
kingdom.
kingdom mean that uh, it's basically a different group of organisms?
Exactly. It's a collective group of all those organisms. Right now, in plant you have all the different type of plants. With the rabi crop, kharif crop, whether you have shrubs, herbs, you have giant trees, you have flowering plants, flowering plants, everything included in the plant kingdom. Even the algae. Okay, now. Anyways, then talking about, you have animal kingdom. Then we come to the microscopic worlds. For example, like you have Monera, then Protista, and then you have fungi. Uh, So normally most of the organisms belonging to the plant kingdom and animal kingdom, they are visible to our naked eyes. We can see them without the help of a microscope. But then you have like Monera kingdom, Protista, fungi. Normally, in order to look at them, you need to take help of a microscope. So they are called as microorganisms. Getting it, Khadija? Khadija, is it clear to you what I've just explained?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, no. So that was the 5 kingdom classification. That is kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae, and kingdom Animalia. So we humans belong to which kingdom?
Homo sapien.
Kingdom.
Kingdom. Animal kingdom.
Animalia kingdom. Okay, na? Animal kingdom basically. Right now? Okay. So our main concern is related to the microorganisms. Right now? So you have got different type of microorganisms. For example, look at this image over here. You have different type of bacteria. For example, you have coccus, bacillus, spirillum. These are some of the examples of bacteria. You have another type of microorganisms like bread mold. You must have seen a bread mold. Hmm? Have you seen how the color of the bread changes after it expires or after it is left open in the air?
Yes.
Right now, it turns slightly bluish green in color. Or you have some type of microorganism called as aspergillus. So they are put under the group called as fungi. Okay, now then you have different other microorganisms like amoeba, paramecium, huh? Or this protozoa called as plasmodium, which is known to cause malaria in humans. Huh? So malaria, it's a very common disease. So it is caused by a protozoa called as plasmodium. We will be discussing all these things later on, but just I'm giving you an overview. So you have protozoa. Then you have algae. Remember, algae are photosynthetic in nature. They are microorganisms, and they are the only microorganism that they can perform photosynthesis. So you have some of the examples of algae like Chlamydomonas is there, Spirogyra is there. So normally these are the 4 different type of microorganisms, but apart from them, there's another special kind of microorganisms called as virus. Getting it now? So these are what? These are the 5 types of microorganisms. You have what? These are the different type of microorganisms. So these are basically groups. So repeat them. What are they? Bacteria.
Bacteria.
Next
Fungi.
is
Protozoa, algae, and virus.
virus. Right now, so these are the major groups of microorganisms. Microorganisms. So major group of microorganisms are namely 5. In higher studies, you might study about like there are 7 type of microorganisms, or you might study like there are 4 types. But don't worry about that. The major type of microorganisms which we have to study is these 5. Okay, now in class 8th textbook also, in some books you might find that they will be mentioning only 4. Right now, but we don't know, there's no need to go into that debate. Just know that there are 5 different major groups of microorganisms. So first one is bacteria. So we'll be studying about bacteria. What are the different features of a bacteria? What are some good bacteria? What are some bad bacteria? So the whole chapter, the whole idea of the chapter is microorganisms, friends and foe. So every type of microorganisms that we're going to study about, whether it be bacteria, whether it be a protozoa, algae, fungi, or virus. So majority of them will be having 2 aspects. Some of them will be beneficial, some of them will be not beneficial. Like that microorganisms are having some medicinal uses also. Us in order to prepare like a vaccine. So their microorganisms are used. Recently, we had the COVID vaccine. So COVID vaccine is prepared how? So COVID vaccine is actually, yes,
With a dead virus.
with the dead,
Virus.
exactly. So we are using the microorganism to cure the disease caused by them right now. So that thing we are going to study. Also, nowadays you have got such type of microorganisms are being made in the laboratories that can actually eat plastic. Have you heard of it? Yes,
No.
plastic eating a microorganism. So there are some such kind of bacteria are also there right now. I forget the name. In the next class, I will be telling you that plastic eating microorganisms. Basically, it's a bacteria which can basically it will start to chew the plastic. It will start to liquefy it, and it will start to eat it. So there was a professor, I think professor, I can't recall the name of the professor, but it's a very revolutionary discovery, invention kind of. It's a evolutionary development that has been done. Okay, no. Anyways, so let's talk about the bacteria first of all. These are the questions which we'll be doing later on. Just one moment. Look at the slide here. Look at this over here. Look at this bacteria, Vibrio cholera. I want you to look at the image of all these 4 different type of bacteria and pay attention to their shape also. If you notice moments ago, I already told you that bacteria comes in different shape and different sizes. So you have this bacteria Vibrio cholera that is having a comma shape now. Is it representing a shape like a comma? Yes, Khadija. Then you have another kind of bacteria called as streptococcus. So that is spherical in nature, and this is found to be living in colony. Like here in the first image, Vibrio cholera, it can be found living alone. But streptococcus, it is usually found to be living in a colony with so many other streptococcus. Okay, now. Then you have another kind of bacteria called as salmonella. So it is having a shape like a rod. It's having a shape like a rod, like this. Then you have this Borrelia, another kind of bacteria. Look at the last image here. So it is having a shape like this, a spiral shape. Now,
Is
talking
is salmonella food poisoning?
salmonella,
Yes.
uh, can salmonella cause food poisoning?
Yes.
I think yes, it can cause. It can cause not particularly food poisoning, I would say, but diseases that are foodborne, like illness that are due to consuming food that is not proper harm. So in that manner, we can say that yes, it causes food poisoning. Salmonella is particularly known to infect chicken meat. Okay, now. So just salmonella can cause. What I know that salmonella, it is majorly known to infect the chickens. So if the person consumes the meat of the chicken, so thereby they can get ill. Okay, now. Also, it is usually found in the body of the chicken. So if the chicken meat is not properly cooked, so yes, the person can suffer from food poisoning. Is it clear, Khadija?
Yes.
So now, talking about the Vibrio cholera, this causes a disease called as Vibrio cholera. Sorry, this causes a disease called as cholera. Okay, now talking about E. coli. Have you heard of this E. coli? It's a very common term. Have you heard of E. coli?
Yes, I have.
So what does E. coli do? It can cause Diarrhea.
Diarrhea.
The person who is infected with this bacteria, they will be suffering from diarrhea, not just normal diarrhea, but a bloody diarrhea. Bloody diarrhea. So along with the waste, blood will also ooze out. Blood will also be coming. So it can cause diarrhea. It will be infecting the urinary tract. Urinary tract, the passage, or basically the tube from where the urine passes out of the body. So it can infect that also. Getting it now? In the worst case scenario, it can lead to pneumonia also. Right now, so it can cause pneumonia, diarrhea, bloody diarrhea, not just normal diarrhea. Getting it? What do you mean by pneumonia, by the way? Have you heard of pneumonia?
It's like an infection
It's a
in the lungs.
lung infection. Very good. Right now, so pneumonia is an infection which affects the lungs. So what basically happens? Have you understand pus, white fluid?
Yes.
Normally that develops in the wound if it is not treated. So pus or this fluid can develop in the lungs right now. So it will cause the tissues of the lungs to swell, and this pus will start to develop in it. So it is very lethal. It is very dangerous thing, a very problematic disease which needs to be cured on time. So what you are going to do, you are going to memorize the shapes and names of these bacteria. I will be asking in the next class. So for comma shape, you have Vibrio cholerae. Spherical shape, you have Streptococcus. Rod shaped bacteria is Salmonella. Okay, now spiral shaped bacteria is Borrelia. Okay. Memorize these names. I will be asking about them in the next class. Now, something about the person who had a very good contribution in the field of microbiology. He has been referred to as the father of microbiology. So he was Anton von Leeuwenhoek. So he was living in the year, I think he was born in the year 1632. First, let me write his name. Anton von Leeuwenhoek. He was born in the year 1632. Let's talk about his contribution, why he has been called as the father of microbiology. Like just in biology, you have different branches, okay? Now, so microbiology is one of the branches of biology. Like you have neurology, you have cardiology, you have odontology. Similarly, you have microbiology also. So this person has been called as the father of microbiology because he discovered the protista and the bacteria. If you can recall, moments ago, I had told you that there are normally 5 kingdom classification. One of them was kingdom protista also. Yes, Khadija?
Yeah.
So he discovered protista and he discovered the bacteria also. Okay, now. So in that year, in the year 1632, he was born, and in that age, I mean, during that time period, with the help of a very simple microscope, he did studies on bacteria right now. So at that time, like he was a kind of self-taught man. Do you understand what is a self-taught man?
He learned it by himself.
Exactly. So for example, you learn something by yourself. You're not learning something under a teacher. If you were to have some just textbook of science or English or some language and you try to learn it by yourself, so thereby you're called as a self-taught person right now. So at that time, science and technology was not that much developed, but still, we're using a very primitive microscope. He managed to discover the protista and the bacteria. Okay, now, so he has been acknowledged as the first microscopist of the world. In the history of microbiology, has been referred to as the first microbiologist and a microscopist also. Getting it now? So this question is also associated here that who discovered the first microscope. Not discovered, I would say, but I would say who invented the first microscope. So this thing also you should know. Let me write on this slide actually.